Business today is global, interconnected, fluid, expanding. And it continues to evolve at an ever faster pace. In this environment, businesses rely more than ever on the expertise provided by a range of business professionals. We trust these professionals, often solely on the basis of the credentials they hold. Those credentials assure us that professionals are able to perform the roles and responsibilities identified with the credential. But who is ensuring that those credentials have value? How is the public interest protected? Professional credentials are awarded by professional associations or certifying bodies of the respective professions. They set the standards for qualification and regulate the conduct of their members. A fundamental requirement for any profession is a rigorous program of education and assessment. Over the years, many leading professional associations and certifying bodies have implemented a form of education known as competency-based. This presentation explains competency-based education and the key elements of a successful competency-based program. We'll define some of the terminology, explain how competencies are identified and validated, show how they are translated to learning objectives, and describe how a student's performance is assessed. A practical experience requirement is an important part of that assessment. Throughout the presentation, we will refer to the Certified General Accountants Program of Professional Studies as an example of competency-based education. But to begin, we'll explain what competency-based education means. The key difference with competency-based education is that it focuses on outcomes, what a person can do rather than what a person knows. Traditionally, education programs have focused on inputs, what content should be included in a person's education. Competency-based education goes further by requiring the student to apply that knowledge to the tasks and responsibilities required of the profession. Mastery of technical knowledge is critical for all professionals. However, to be effective, a professional must combine knowledge with relevant skills and professional values. And this must be demonstrated by students in the context of performing work. To understand competency-based education, we need to define what we mean by the terms competence and competency. The International Federation of Accountants defines competence as being able to perform a work role to a defined standard with reference to real working environments. CGA-Canada defines a competency as a specific behavior whereby a professional applies knowledge, skills, and/or professional values in a work environment. The behavior can be defined, demonstrated, observed, and assessed. The first step in designing a competency-based education program is to identify and validate the competencies required in practice. What are the roles, tasks, and behaviors expected of someone in this profession? This is done through a practice analysis study. A practice analysis usually involves consulting members of the profession and surveying practitioners and their employers. The results are used to develop, refine, and enhance the program's requirements, including the examination specifications. They also provide evidence that a profession's education requirements are job-related. The practice analysis results in a list of competencies that describe the knowledge, skills, and professional values associated with the profession. Competencies are written as competency statements, such as these statements taken from CGA-Canada's Competency Framework. Develops, prepares, analyzes, and interprets relevant financial performance measures. Or applies professional ethical standards. Competency statements describe much more than a level of knowledge. Each competency requires a combination of skills and professional values. as well as knowledge from perhaps several different technical subject areas. Let's take a closer look at one of those competency statements to see what it entails. Develops, prepares, analyzes, and interprets relevant financial performance measures. Demonstrating this competency will require a wide range of technical knowledge related to financial accounting. It requires knowledge of relevant accounting standards and a familiarity with standard references. It requires quantitative analysis skills and critical thinking abilities in order to analyze and interpret the story behind the numbers. It requires an understanding of business management to ensure that relevant information is available to decision makers. It requires a familiarity with information management systems. And it requires a thorough grasp of the rules of professional conduct. To demonstrate this competency, a student will have to do much more than simply answer a question. The second step is to map the competencies and then translate the broadly worded competency statements into more specific learning objectives. Mapping the competencies is the process of determining at what point in a student's education, examinations, or practical experience the competency is best developed and assessed. Of course, demonstrating a particular competency will require that the student have a certain body of knowledge. By identifying the knowledge associated with the competency statement, learning objectives and content can be developed for the appropriate courses. A student who has met the learning objectives should be equipped with the body of knowledge necessary to demonstrate the related competency. As mentioned, an important step is to determine when and how to develop and assess the competencies. Most competencies are assessed through examinations. However, not all can be assessed in this way. Some, such as leadership competencies, for example, are best assessed through course assignments or practical experience. During a CGA's 36-month period of practical experience, the student must demonstrate specific competencies on the job. These competencies must be verified by the student's employer in a detailed questionnaire. In addition to all academic requirements, students must successfully complete this practical experience requirement before they can be certified as CGAs. The final academic requirement to qualify for the CGA designation is 4 professional applications and competence evaluations, better known as PACE level courses and examinations. PACE level examinations total 16 hours and provide a final opportunity to assess a candidate on many of the competencies identified as essential to practice. The examinations must reflect the priorities of the profession, so questions are assembled to ensure adequate coverage and weighing of the competencies. Students are assessed on how successfully they demonstrate the competencies required by the questions. Through this process of education, experience, and examinations, the CGA Association ensures that every newly certified CGA has demonstrated all of the competencies considered essential to the profession. The cycle of validating and revising CGA's competency-based certification model is repeated every 3 to 5 years to ensure that the certification requirements reflect the current needs of the marketplace. It goes a long way to ensuring that the CGA program offers the degree of rigor and breadth necessary to certify exemplary accountants. And this competency-based approach to education is a key reason why the public is able to trust the professionals who proudly hold the CGA designation.